The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Tuesday, the 23rd day of September 2025. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Lindo's People's Pharmacy, and a big shout out to HSBC Bermuda for ensuring that we're able to pump through the radio airwaves with these most important community conversations. I'm Jamal Hartman, and we'll have a news break, I believe, from my Palacio a bit later. And I have a new guest co-host joining me today. And I'll bring to you in a bit. But before that, how's everyone feeling? It's Tuesday, the second day of autumn, everyone's favorite season. Has anyone had anything pumpkin yet this season? I had myself some pumpkin muffins, some pumpkin ginger snaps, some pumpkin like chocolate chip cookies. I had pumpkin bread. I've had pumpkin donut yesterday from Krispy Kreme. Yeah, I've had a lot of pumpkin. So if you haven't had any pumpkin yet, don't know what you're waiting for, but it's definitely pumpkin season in his house. So happy second day of the best season of the four. Autumn, fall, whatever you choose to call it. Hopefully everyone has, autumn or fall or however you refer to it is off to a fantastic start. All right, folks. Well, greetings, everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today. We're going to be discussing, basically, if you saw the notes of today's episode, you would have noted that we're going to be discussing us, the role of the people in safeguarding our community. There have been so many articles and opinions shared, but what does community responsibility truly look like? From collective accountability to grassroots action, we're going to explore how each of us has a role to play, a part to play in creating a safer, stronger Bermuda. I believe we'll also be joined by Winnie Crockle, the executive director of the Women's Resource Center, a bit later, as she seemed to take a lot of flack for her comments that were attributed to her in the Royal Gazette, where she, addressed the fact that we've had 4 women who have been murdered in the last 5 years. So looking forward, she'll be calling in. So this is the first time we'll do a call-in. Winnie Crockle, the executive director of the Women's Resource Center, will be joining us a bit later. The daily play is going to be a Remember When today, a Remember When. So folks, in the meantime, do not forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. All right. Well, without further, we've got Suzanne Ingham says, it's Tuesday, Jamal. Tuesday. It's a super, did I say another day? She says, super awesome that Jamal and Maya have let us back in their show. Super awesome day indeed. Oh, an awesome Tuesday to you as well, Suzanne. Awesome Tuesday to you. We appreciate you as always. All right. So, folks, let's jump into it. Let's jump into it today. So, before we got into question and conversation. Let's bring our guest co-host in today. We've got Tanae Derlin. Let's give her a warm TDH welcome to the show, hopefully first of many. All right, welcome Tanae. How are you?
Good morning, Jamal. Thanks for having me. I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm okay. I had a cold last week, so I have a slight cough. But you know, I'm alive and I'm able to annoy people and talk into their ears. And so
And I see you getting into this pumpkin season. You're really enjoying.
Do you like pumpkin?
I do, but I'm not a huge fan. But I did have some pumpkin muffins the other day, and they were really good.
Okay. I'll get you some pumpkin cookies and so on. I don't know. Pumpkin loves me. I think pumpkin is one of those things that actually can take me away from French fries. I'll put it like that.
Okay.
One of those things that could take me away from French fries. I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing, but I'm just saying it's one of those things that can take me away a bit. Yeah. Well, let's get into today's discussion. So again, there have been articles, opinions, things shared. And the question of the morning before we jump in, audience, is if you had the chance to lead one grassroots change in your community to make it safer, what would it be? And also, I think this is on each of us. Do you believe regular people can make a significant difference in reducing violent crime in Bermuda? And when I say regular people, I'm talking about me and Tanae and people who are not politicians or police officers or legislators or lawyers or, executive directors of community organizations. Do you believe that we, like regular citizens of the country or residents, do you believe that we can make a difference in reducing violent crime in Bermuda? That's just a yes or no question. But also, if you had the chance to lead one grassroots change in your community to make it safer, what would you do? Like, what would you do first? Is there one thing? I mean,
it's quite hard, but I do feel like as an individual, we need to take accountability for ourselves. While we can continue to call on the government to do that, we need to look at what we can do and how we can drive that forward, because we have a role to play as well. And a lot of people kind of become complicit, or these things we just become desensitized to what's going on around the community and just go about our business. And everything kind of gets swept underneath the carpet. But, I asked myself, and even on my Facebook, like, what does accountability look like? What does holding, the government accountable look like? Like, what do those conversations look like? And how do we action that? Instead of coming on Facebook and complaining and, giving our opinions on many different, articles or platforms, what are we doing? What do we want?
It's interesting because we've had conversations about what does that look like many years ago. And I thought, the quick answer for me was you don't wait until an election to speak to your members of parliament or legislators. What you do is you go on their doorstep. You have conversations with them. But I think you're right. I think we have to ask ourselves, what does accountability look like? We use these words, we use transparency. What does that look like? Is it subjective? Is it based on our own perspective? Is it something that you and I will differ on what it looks like? Likely. But I do believe that one of the solutions and accountability is what each of us are doing to make it better. And I'll put myself out there. I don't like the idea of a resume getting someone a job, but that's just traditionally it's a CV or resume. Because if you traditionally look at the journeys of many who have gotten into politics, their journey is interesting. Is I volunteered here, I mentored this place or that place, and you start to ask, was this genuine? Was this ever really about the cause, or was it about building your resume? Right. I purposely don't put that I coached or mentored on my resume. That's not to say that other people shouldn't. But I did it genuinely because, one, I mentored because when I was put in the programs when I was young, there was not enough mentors. I coached because I realized at a very young age I wasn't going to grow any bigger, so I decided let me go to coaching route and coach. Those are things that we can do to make a difference in our community. Those are grassroots things that if you have the time, you can do differently. Now, keep in mind, everyone is different. I don't have children. It's easier for me to find time. So this is not a judgment thing. It's just for you or somebody else, it may be simply raising your child.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, again, it's being informed, knowing my history, knowing the history of Bermuda, knowing where we come from, understanding that as an independent territory of the United Kingdom, what resources that we have to actually combat some of these issues that we have on the island. You know, Bermuda, I feel like we focus so much on I think the island as a whole, but we're not looking at the core, we're not looking at the root issues. And we have these wonderful strategies in place, but I don't see them being actioned. I want to know, how are they being actioned? What does that look like? Like, I feel like Bermuda specifically needs task force. They need certain units that are able to go out and do this work. You know, we need work being done in our community. We need grassroots, like we need people that are in the community doing this work, not just politicians, not just professionals, not just people that have an, you know, come online and have an opinion. Like, get out into the community and start doing something. Sign up for Mirrors. Mirrors has a wonderful program. You know, sign up to any grassroots community that you feel can help make a difference within your community, especially when it comes to gun violence. Get involved in those conversations.
You just said something I want to emphasize. You said, you know, people in the community. It's up to us. But I want to emphasize that today because it goes back to what I said about organizations, these big organizations, especially exempt companies, throwing money at stuff like donating $50 and or laptops here and there. And I think they have a role to play. I think they have a role to play. At the end of the day, they're in the community, right? And I'm calling out exempt companies for a reason, because during the summer, I got to look at a few exempt companies and what they look at in terms of giving into the community. And it's nothing more than resume building as well. To me, it's not about really giving back and making a difference in the community. It's about PR. It's about what can make until we get to a space where companies, organizations, and people are actually genuine about the causes, right? And not their PR and marketing machines. And I think these things will continue, because let's be honest. Someone said to me just last week to me, and I think they were being kind of facetious. They said, do you think people realize that it's only really Black people that are impacted by this gun murder? So I said, well, I hope they do. Right. And then it was like, when we say people, are we saying all people in the country, or are we talking about Black people?
Absolutely.
You know?
And it does seem to be a Black issue. And again, I want to look at post-colonial history. Like I want to, you know, our colonial history, and look at the trauma that has been caused over the years. And I think that's another thing that we overlook. You know, we say, again, we paint these pretty pictures, we say all these things that need to be done, but nothing's being actioned when it comes to mental health, when it comes to the trauma, when it comes to these continuous cycle of violence and hurt within our community. What are we doing to address that? Like you said, the exam companies are throwing all this money at, laptops or, sponsorship and all of this. What about throwing some money to these organizations that are helping in regards to the mental health, in regards to, helping people to really come together and address the core issues? I think for me, it's also like looking at like restorative circles and having these conversations as community and come together to come to resolutions, because it is a Black problem as much as we don't want to, we look at it island wide, like it's everyone's problem. At the core of our community, at the core of the Black community, this is our issue.
And I don't want it to get lost, because again, you're saying some things that I really hope people are honing in on. Is while we say that it's a Black problem, the gun violence in Bermuda, Tanae keeps saying that it's a history. It didn't just start from black disliking blacks. This is deep rooted, right? This is historic. It started somewhere, and I think somewhere along the line it needs to be addressed from a holistic. I'm going to use Willie Gaines when he was the Minister of National Security. I don't know if the results have come to fruition, but the holistic approach. We need to figure out what that looks like. Well, let's go to the audience. Again, audience, the questions of the morning. If you had the chance to lead one grassroots change in your community, right? If you could make it safer, like do one thing, what would you do first? And also, do you believe regular people like us can make a difference in reducing violent crime in Bermuda? And again, just to give context around regular people, we're talking about people who are not police officers, people who are not politicians, people who are not, legislators in the Senate, like just everyday people. Do you believe we can make a difference? Let's go to the audience. Kia Renee BDA says, yes, for sure. Dr. Anthony Richardson, we'll read it from the side, it's pretty long, says regular people in Bermuda can make difference, but the attention span staying power of most Bermudians is short. I concur. I'm guilty of it as well.
And you know what else we need to consider as well, Jamal?
We'll just finish this content. He said, we are attracted to the new shiny thing, but once that fades, we go on to something new. The violent crime in Bermuda needs sustained attention and dedication from regular Bermudians. Go ahead.
I just that the middle of that comment really caught me, because we also have so much going on in our lives. We're trying to survive. We're trying to, combat the cost of living. We have children that we need to focus on. We have children that have, that are suffering in terms of like education and, being able to emotionally regulate and just being in environments that are not really conducive to, their, I guess, their childhoods and growing up to be able to build, those healthy relationships, right? So for me, like, it's again, how do we combat that? How do we create that balance? Because like we do get lost. We say we have these conversations and then life is there, it's in our face, right? And how do we balance that? How do we find a balance between our own lives and what's going on in that chaos, and then also being a part of the change?
Yeah, and that's important. I think, as I stated, everyone's situation is going to be different. People are just trying to survive right now, right? People are just trying to make a way. So it is difficult. But I want to touch on a few articles because, again, various articles have been written. We saw in the Royal Gazette last week, Stop Talking and Act, which was an editorial. And Teo has given these stats on the Daily Hour many times about the murder rate in Bermuda being extensive, worse than the United States itself. But I want to say some things that keep coming up in various articles is the fact that people keep pointing fingers. People keep saying, what about the CCTV? And what about this? And what about that? And I don't know how to keep saying this, but I think from my perspective, we're looking in the wrong place. I don't think the idea is to address it, to prevent it, not catch it on camera. And I'm not quite sure CCTV, excuse me, I'm not quite sure CCTV is helping prevent anything, even if the cameras were up, because as we discussed on this show and in many conversations, these people who are committing these acts don't care. They're going to do what they do.
Yeah.
Right? The shooting in August, they were caught on camera. Yeah. The shooting in May, they were caught on camera.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think we're focused, and I think it's easy to say, well, why the CCTV is not up? Okay, yes, I agree.
It's an action, right? That's the immediate that people want. Right. They will catch them, right?
You need to focus on the behavior of the individual. And that's what I think you're saying. Like, where's the mental health in this? Where's the addressing the major issue? I think what we continue to do is address the symptoms, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And in every article, it seems the same. The symptoms. Why are we so afraid of addressing the root cause?
Yeah. Fair. It's fair. We've masked it for so long because we've had no other choice. We don't know how to deal with people. There are people out there that want the help. They don't know where to go. There are waiting lists. There are, there's cost attached to these things. They're not free. I think that's something that for me, I've always looked at and considered when I went away to do my degree. It's just like, I want to be able to come back. I want to be able to offer services pro bono. I want to be able to give back to my community with what I do and offer my services. But again, when I come back to Bermuda, it's really eye-opening because I can't do that alone.
Right.
I can only do my bit by bit, but again, community is so important. Doing these things collectively is so important. And we really need to really need to come together to kind of see how we can address these issues one by one. It's not just one big issue. It's something that needs to be broken down and picked apart and really unpacked to kind of see where we start.
Indeed. Let's go through these few comments real quickly, then we'll do the news break. And folks, this is your daily discussion brought to you by our friends at Titan Express and Secure. The questions of the morning: if you had the chance to lead one grassroots change in your community to make it safer, what would you do first? Not a lot of suggestions this morning, but also, do you believe regular people can make a difference in reducing violent crime in Bermuda? Sean Smith said, yes, truly get to know my neighbors. I grew up in a time where neighbors know the children and their parents. If step out of line, your parents know about. Rhonda Trott says, absolutely yes. I think that's her answer to whether regular people can make a difference in reducing violent crime in Bermuda. Dr. Anthony Richardson says, it's too hard for the leaders and the regular people to think long-term. We want things to be instant. Absolutely. Absolutely. Instant gratification is part of the Suzanne Ingham says, I think people are afraid of facing the truth, whatever that may be and how ugly it may be. Look, real quickly, because we got to do the news today. Last week, a lot of people were saying, yeah, the police need to do this, the police need to do that. Here's the thing. If the police start kicking down people's doors,
that's more noise. That's more noise.
I guarantee people will be loud in response to that. Oh, I'm kicking up. And here's the truth. And this is going to hurt a lot of feelings. And we've got Winnie Crocker, I believe, calling in a bit. But something people have been saying lately, they've been speaking about the role women play. And this came up many years ago. I'm talking about 2010, when some shootings were happening and people were saying, oh, woman was calling and letting them know where these 4-2 guys were and stuff like that. Yeah. There's a lot that goes on, a lot that the police can't share with us.
Absolutely.
We all seem to want things, right, until it exposes our loved ones, whether it's pedophilia, we can go down a road here. Real quickly, let me read these comments before we go to break. CCTV will assist getting convictions and should also help the police in preventing lots of crimes if the cameras are properly monitored. Targeted murders are here to stay as long as we have gangs that are driving drug trade, says Rick Olsen. I disagree. I do think there was a time when CCTV was able to assist. With technology, what it is, we can create a video right now putting you somewhere, Rick Olsen.
Yeah.
Technology is not what it once was. Yeah. I get your point, and I would love to believe you. I would love to think you're right. But as Teo and I said last week, people who want to commit these heinous crimes will commit these heinous crimes, Rick Olsen. That's the
this is a different generation as well. We have to take that into consideration. This was happening years ago.
Yeah. All CCTV is going to do is capture the crime. It's not going to stop it. That's the reality.
Absolutely.
This the reality is that it's going to make, what's that, world star hip hop? Is that still a thing? But that's not, and I'm not being funny here.
No, absolutely.
And then we talk about convictions. You think it's that easy to convict someone who's been caught on camera?
Nope.
You can catch somebody red-handed with their DNA on stuff and they could get off, Rick Olsen.
Yeah.
Let's be real here. Again, this is why we're talking about addressing the root cause. Why is everyone so afraid? And I'm going to pick on it. Why is so many people, especially those who seem to have nothing to do with it, so afraid to address the root cause? Answer that.
And I think maybe they don't know how, Jamal.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know how. I don't think people know how. I think we need to give
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, some type of training maybe
Mm-hmm.
to community members on how to address these issues, how to have these conversations, how to, how do we be involved in making that change as an individual, as a community?
Well, Dr. Anthony Richardson says CCTV is used all over the UK. It doesn't
does not.
prevent crimes.
It does not.
Rhonda Trott says, Rick Olson, this is your answer to what individual responsibility should be. And that's what we're talking about. Thank you for that, Rhonda Trott.
Yeah.
She also says, schools, church, parents must come outdoors and connect. Rosalind Famous says, neighborhood watches. Yep. And Kieran BDA says, personally, I have to hold myself accountable for my own actions.
Absolutely.
And that is there for myself. There's a lot of things I do not tolerate from what leaders do. All right. Thank you all so much for your contribution. If you've appreciated the conversation so far, give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. We're going to give thanks to Titan Express and Secure, and then we'll go to the news break with Maya Palacio, and then we'll have a commercial break, and hopefully we'll have Wanae Crockle on the line after that. So let's go give some thanks to Titan Express and Secure Trucking.
The Daily Discussion is brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. Visit TitanEXBDA.com, your leading tour and transport provider specializing in Black History tours throughout the island. And SecureBDA.com for all your property management, waste management, residential, and commercial trucking needs. Professional, punctual, and reliable service is our commitment to you.
All right, let's go to Maya Palacio for Daily Hour News Break. And remember, if you haven't already, if you're streaming with us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, X, or Instagram, give us a thumbs up, a love, a like, help us beat the algorithm so that everyone you know has access to these most important community conversations as possible.
Good morning. This is your Daily Hour News Break brought to you by the good people at People's Pharmacy. I'm Maya Palacio. I'm in Japan. And here's your latest news in Bermuda. Running short on times at People's, you'll find health, beauty, home, and household needs and more. Honestly, it surprises me just how big the store is. And better yet, the parking is free, which is key when you're short on time. It's a one-stop, everything you need type of store. Moving on to your news this morning, breaking his silence. For the first time ever, he says the city is speaking up over gun violence after the murder of Janae Miners. After expressing sincere condolences, Mayor Charles Gosling says in the past the city has refrained from commenting on individual tragedies out of respect and to avoid politicizing these painful moments. But we cannot remain silent in the face of continued violence. Thoughts and prayers are not enough. Each of us must ask what we can do as individuals and as a community to bring about change. He closed by saying we will keep pressuring for greater resources and a stronger presence on our streets. Hamilton must be and will be a safe place for all. Meanwhile, the Department of Education has launched a new student code of conduct across the Bermuda public school system, a move that builds on this month's announcement on stronger enforcement regarding cell phones during the school day. The updated code is the result of a multi-year review that began in 2019, shaped by input from teachers, principals, parents, child advocates, and even the Bermuda Police Service. The code sets out 4 clear levels of expectations and responses, while also standardizing how personal electronic devices are handled in schools. Acting Education Minister Kim Wilkerson said the code reflects a commitment to both student safety and teachers' ability to lead classrooms free from disruption. The new code of conduct is available now on the Department of Education's website at moed.bm. Furthermore, efforts to locate 15-year-old Jador Wilson remains ongoing. Jador is described as light complexion, 5 feet 4 inches tall, of medium build, weighing approximately 175 pounds, with black and blonde hair past her shoulders. Her hair is worn in braids. Apparently, Jador was last seen at her North Terrace Hamilton home Wednesday morning on the 17th of September. That is 6 days ago. She is likely traveling on foot. Anyone with information on the whereabouts of 15-year-old Jador Wilson is encouraged to contact the BPS immediately by calling 211. Closing in sport, Bermuda's pocket rocket, Caitlin Bob, who just finished competing in the World Athletics Championships, took to her socials to express thanks and ask for sponsorship. Here's a few words from the unsponsored athlete looking to compete in the 2028 Olympics.
Right now, I am, as well with the help of my federation, supporting myself, and it's a struggle. And having a partnership would alleviate a lot of stress, one. Two, financially, it would do a lot, okay?
So what does this mean? I've shared many stories in the past about our athletes looking for sponsors. In my past story with Olympian Janai Parent-Chief, he said that there must be a gap of understanding just how well athletes from Bermuda perform. So could this be the shift of more athletes vocally expressing online their need to be sponsored, and will it make a difference? We'll keep following to see who may answer the call and what next elite athlete will be vulnerable enough to ask. And as for your weather today, it's looking like a mix of sun and cloud and a chance of an afternoon shower. Winds are still moderate as they ease along, and you have a high of 85 degrees. Now let's head back to the studio.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Maya. All right, folks. Well, days of the year. Today is Education Technology Day. Education Technology Day. Now, I'm going to ask you, because, they kind of banned all those devices in schools recently, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to ask you all, what piece of technology, some of you are too old for technology, a pen was technology to some of you back then, I'm just saying. But anyway, what piece of technology did you really love when you were in school that you could use? Well, nah, we couldn't. I'm gonna go first. I couldn't really use calculators, but I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really think of anything that I had technology-wise other than a computer. But even a computer everything was handwritten. I mean, once I went to college, but if I stick with my high school and middle school days, the only time we were really exposed to technology in that sense was like our computer classes. Yeah,
I think for me, and we've got Renee Crockle on the line. We'll bring her in after the commercial break, folks. But I think we've got for me, calculators, I could use them once I got in college.
Yes.
Laptops were necessary once we got to college.
Yes.
Well, let's go to the audience. Scientific calculator, Mark C. Phillips. Central Durham says they only banned phones. No, they didn't ban anything. They actually just enforced what was already there. But also, it wasn't just phones for public schools. It was Bluetooth devices. It was anything that's not approved by the school. So it could only be a pre-approved laptop or pre-approved what's those things called? What's this thing right here called?
iPad.
Yes. Tablets.
Yeah.
So no, they didn't ban anything. They enforced, but it wasn't just phones. It was anything Bluetooth, headphones. It was everything, according to the statement by the education ministry. Approved laptops by the school, meaning school approved or given laptops. That's what the statement said. But anyway, back to the question. What was your favorite piece of technology? Dexter Smith says, loved my protractor. Oh, I'm joking. Dr. Anthony Richardson says, handheld electronic football game. Man, I remember that stuff.
Yeah.
I remember
I used to take my Game Boy into school. I did.
And they didn't take it from you?
I mean, we only bought it out during our breaks. It's not like we were in class playing them. I remember doing it.
It was you all that started all this stuff. Suzanne Ingham said, I had a typewriter in school, old-fashioned type. All right, we're going to take a break. Let's just see. Miss Crockle, are you there?
Yes, I am.
All right. Well, we're going to be right with you after this commercial break. It's about 3 minutes. All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much. We've got Renee Crockle on the line, folks. If you missed it, she had a statement by the Women's Resource Center that she put out. She's the executive director of the Women's Resource Center. And we're going to discuss with her comments and some of the reaction to her comments after this break. So do not go anywhere. Stick with us. We'll be back in about 3 minutes, 40 seconds.
People's ACW, located at King Edward VII Memorial Hospital, carries over-the-counter medicines, toys, cards, and even toiletries. Our knowledgeable staff are there whether you're at emergency, visiting family, or a member of BHB staff, to show you our best even when you're feeling your worst. People's ACW, we're here for you.
Ready to take your financial game to the next level? HSBC is here to help you power up your financial fitness. Your strategy should be sharp and ready for anything, because luck won't get you to the top. Whether securing your future, growing wealth, or planning for life's next serve, HSBC's experts are here for you. From budgeting to investing, let's craft a plan as unique as your goals. Plus, get free financial planning consultations to stay on track. Learn more at hsbc.bm/financial planning. HSBC Bank Bermuda is licensed to conduct banking and investment business by the Bermuda Monetary Authority.
Take a look at our workwear for construction workers and tradesmen. Durable, stretchable in all the right places, and plenty of options for tools and accessories. Here with our wide range of tough and comfortable footwear, you can't go wrong. As you can see, Medical House really is a one-stop shop for everybody. We can't wait to see you.
See it all at our new expanded location on Bakery Lane.
Discover Drop It, your go-to grocery delivery. Browse and select from a wide range of groceries, from fresh produce to daily essentials. Our friendly drivers deliver fresh groceries to your door fast, saving you time and hassle. With Drop It, you get fresh groceries delivered fast so you can focus on what really matters. Drop It, freshness at your doorstep, delivered to your door with Lindo's. Why go anyplace else?
Get ready for the cool Bermuda nights ahead. A CI-AC mini split AC unit from BAC Group is the perfect solution, keeping you warm this winter and cool all summer long. While supplies last, you can get a unit starting at just $913.50. Plus, receive an extra 10% off when you pay with cash or credit card at the counter. BAC Group, comfort for every season.
SCARS stands for Saving Children and Revealing Secrets, and we are a Bermuda nonprofit organization whose mission is to reduce the risk of child sexual abuse and to be an advocate and a voice for children who've been sexually molested, as well as their affected family. New media like the Daily Hour is really important in partnering with organizations like SCARS. It's another platform for us for awareness. There can be no radio silence as it relates to child sexual abuse, and we need as many initiatives as we can get. We need to keep this message alive. In terms of us and the work that we do, live engagement is good because it allows the audience to ask questions, to make comments, even to provide us with encouragement and support. What I love about the live engagement when SCARS is being interviewed by Jamel is just this feeling of safety, this feeling that he gets it. He cares about children. It's a connection.
Alrighty, welcome back to the big show tonight, Dolan. I'm Jamel Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Lindo's, People's Pharmacy, and a big shout out to HSBC Bermuda for ensuring that we're able to pump through the radio airwaves on Hot 107.5 with these most important community conversations. Folks, please do not forget to subscribe on our website, follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. All right, without further ado, let's welcome in Wanae Crockle. She's the executive director of the Women's Resource Center. Ms. Crockle, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
All
Good
right.
morning.
Good morning. Welcome.
Yeah, we've got Tanae
Thank
with
you.
us. This is our first time using this feature audience where we've got someone calling in with us. So we're excited to have you on the show. But before we jump into anything, I know some people may know you as the young lady who ran an independent campaign earlier this year, but you are the executive director of the Women's Resource Center. Just give some background about what the Women's Resource Center is, like its purpose.
Absolutely. So the Women's Resource Center, our mission is to advance the rights, equity, and well-being of women in Bermuda. And we do that through a collection of core services, which include therapeutic interventions. So that could be counseling, support groups, mediation. We also provide support in the form of advocacy, not just public advocacy, but personal advocacy. Women can come to us with an issue and we can connect them to the service that they need or help them get the legal advice they need to be able to make informed decisions. And then finally, we have our community education program, which provides access to important skills and information for women to be able to build or rebuild safe, healthy, and fulfilling lives. So I know that was a bit of a mouthful, but that is what we do. And at the core of everything, it's about enhancing the lives of women in Bermuda and ensuring that their voices are heard, but also that the systems that exist here in this country are working for women.
Thank you for that background. And I know Tanae has a few questions, but I just want to start off just by asking, because last week we had a very tragic murder in Bermuda, and the next morning I mentioned on this show the very fact that this is the fourth woman in the last 5 years who has been murdered. And you then put out an article later that week. An article was in the Royal Gazette, and the reaction on social media to what you had stated kind of wasn't favorable. But let me just ask this: why was it necessary for you, as the executive director of the Women's Resource Center, I think giving people an understanding based on what you just explained, explain why it was necessary for you to speak out on the fact that 4 women have been victims of murder in the past 5 years?
Yeah, thank you for asking that, because I think there might have been some confusion. And, we put out a statement, and I just have to say this. The media chooses what part of our statement is going to print and all of that. And so I encourage anybody to actually read the full statement, which is in Burn News, and in the Royal Gazette article, it is attached as extra media or something, whatever they call it. So I do encourage you to read the full statement. But the reason why we felt it was important to issue something is because what this is signaling is a new trend. And we have to be concerned with trends that impact women. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't care about the trends that impact men. Because if anybody knows me personally, I'm a mother of Black sons. I just dropped them all off to school. So the Women's Resource Center specifically, and we have to remember this was a statement on behalf of the Women's Resource Center, is concerned with issues that impact women in the community. And so now that we've seen the 4th woman murdered through gun violence that is connected to gang culture and antisocial activity, we felt that it was time for us to say something, because not simply because it's a woman, but because this is new. This is a progression of this gang culture. We didn't have this happening 20 years ago. And so it's not so much that it's a woman, it's that we've never had women being murdered before. And so what does that mean now about the culture? And further to that, the full statement actually was a call to action for women, because now we are being directly impacted. Perhaps all this time, we could have argued that it wasn't necessarily coming to us. It was, we were the mothers who were grieving, the sisters, the partners, but now we're the victims. And so what are we willing to do? It was a call to action, because women are such an influential and important part of our community. And I think that we sometimes give that power away. And so the article, more than outrage, it was a call to action to say, as women, what are we willing to do?
Indeed. And this,
are we? Absolutely.
Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, this small community, let's be real. Nothing happens without women actually being a part of making it happen. We have to be honest about that. The positive things, we love to talk about how influential women are, even if it's in the background, right? We might not be on the front lines of something, but women are always involved, and we love to claim that when it's positive.
Yeah.
But
I just want to let those tuned in on the radio know this is the voice of Winnie Crockle. She's the executive director of the Women's Resource Center, speaking to us, giving us more to what some people didn't read beyond the headline, which was a statement that she put out to the media last week. Tanae, you had some questions as well, right?
I think first and foremost, I want to acknowledge how much of a powerful statement you did make, Janae. And I think, again, people always, there's that clickbait, right? And like you said, that narrative that the media wants to drive forward. But if you read the statement in its entirety, the article in its entirety, you see what the actions you've put forward for women. And like you said, I think for me personally, I think women have always been almost at the center of the gang culture because we're mothers first, right? We've given birth to these children, we've raised these children, or we haven't raised these children, you know, and what does that look like for us, especially when we talk about accountability and we talk about, you know, we see mothers that enable their sons or mothers that, you know, have these enabling behaviors. And again, that is something that is rooted especially as Black women in who we are. And I think your call for action needs to go a bit deeper because as a Black woman, I carry a lot already. You know, I carry a lot already. And we historically, that has always fallen on us. You know, mend the community, to bring everyone together. You know, that call for action has always been there, but I think the call for action needs to be looked more at the accountability. What conversations are we having? What does that accountability look like? So for me, I think my question for you is, and again, I mentioned earlier, some people don't know how to have these conversations. They're afraid to have these conversations. They don't know what these conversations will look like. They avoid it because they don't want conflict or they don't want to address the issues head on, right? So what do those conversations look like, Renee? Like what kind of conversation do you have with a woman that comes to you at the Women's Resource Center and says, listen, I think my son is involved in gang violence, or I know someone that's involved in gang violence. What kind of conversation, or what can I do as a woman, as a mother, as a community member?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I appreciate you asking so that I can answer directly, because we do have this exact scenario where women come to us for support, but they might not outright say my son, my partner, whoever is involved. But, you know, as professionals, we are trained to be able to recognize certain patterns. And so for me, I like to ask them a question that was posed to be by my father. And I don't want to make it about me, but it's not secret knowledge that I have had my experience on the other side, right? And so my father said to me, Renee, what side do you want to be on of this? He asked me that when I was, oh gosh, how old was I? I don't know, 22, 23. He asked me what side do I want to be on, and that always stuck with me because he challenged me. And so I challenged the women. What side of this do you want to be on? And both sides are hard. So this is not to make it seem like this is easy.
Yeah.
Right? If you have a child, a family member, a partner that is involved in this activity, it's going to be hard not to speak up against it, and it's going to be hard to speak up against it. So you have to choose your hard. However, if you choose the hard of taking a stand, setting some boundaries, we are here to support you. Whether that means connecting you to other resources, whether through the Ministry of National Security's Gang Reduction Violence team, whether it's at the Family Center, whether you need counseling, we will support you and we will walk alongside you. But the question is, where do you stand? Because I can't force you to make a choice.
Absolutely.
Right? And so we lovingly provide women with their options and what the potential outcomes could be of their choices. You know, very recently, I had to ask a grandmother, you know, you want to protect your grandson, but do you want to protect him from jail or do you want to protect him from the grave? What, like, we have to start having this really hard conversation, right? And it's not comfortable. And I have to tell you guys, I had that statement written since Wednesday of last week, and I didn't send it until Friday because it's so sensitive and it's so delicate.
Absolutely.
We are the center, and we are here to support women and empower women. But part of empowerment is accountability.
Exactly. And I think that's the thing as well, is being able to be comfortable and have those conversations. Again, I think of, you know, what would I say to a friend who came to me? You know, removing yourself from the role at the Women's Resource Center, what do you say to a family member? What do you say to a friend who may be even complicit or enabled the gang culture that we have going on in Bermuda?
I say the exact same thing. That's one thing about me. I'm so grateful that my personal and professional personas can merge, because I'm going to say to my friends the same thing. Like, you know, it's all about choices. The government has a role here to enact policies that help to protect our young people. The government has a role in creating an economy that we can thrive in, an education system that is equitable. But at the end of the day, it always comes down to individual choice, right? Yes. And so with my personal connections, what I tend to say is, listen, I love you, and I want you to be able to enjoy everything that is available to you in this life. And you're not going to be able to do that involved in this behavior. You're not, right? This is what I tell my sons. I have a 14-year-old son, and he just started S1. And at the end of his first week of school, he came to me actually concerned because of the number of boys in his year that claim that they're gang members. And I had to have a conversation with my 14-year-old that I was hoping I wouldn't have to have quite yet, right? To let him know, like, hey, the rest of your life depends on the decisions that you make now. It seems, you know, meaningless, you know, you're a kid or whatever. But at the end of the day, the choices that you make, the people that you choose to associate with, the activities that you choose to be involved in are going to have consequences. So if you choose negative people, negative activities, the consequences are negative. Right?
You said something. Don't mean to cut you off. You said something, and before I lose my train of thought, I just wanted to ask you this really fast, because I know time's not on our side, and this conversation can be really long. So you've called for women to speak up against violence. How can women do this effectively when the government leadership itself sets a poor example of accountability?
I think we have to stop looking at the government to be an example of anything. Just excuse me for being frank. But how can women do this? So everyone doesn't have to go send an article to the Royal Gazette like I did. I'm not asking everybody to do that. It goes right back to what you guys were talking about, community conversations and sitting down. And even, you know, first the conversation has to happen with yourself. So if you're a woman that's listening right now and you have a child that might be involved, a close relative, a friend, a husband, a partner, you have to have a conversation with yourself, and you have to say, how much do I love that person? Do I love that person to hold them accountable? Do I love that person enough to hold them accountable? Do I love myself enough to hold myself accountable for the part that I play? Right? Because until we have that honest conversation, it's all just going to be rhetoric. It's all just going to be for show, right? And so first you have to like really look at yourself in the mirror, and not all of us are willing to do that. And the second thing that we have to do is start to confront some of the beliefs about ourselves that are not true. We believe that our Black men aren't going to be anything, and that this is all that this is the only way for them to survive. We actually, some of us in our community actually believe that this gang lifestyle and this culture is the only way. And so we have to confront these mindsets. So when I say women to speak up, first we have to confront these mindsets. How am I contributing to this problem? Am I aware that my child might have been involved in, it doesn't have to be a murder, but because it doesn't start off with murder, it starts off with something else, right? So am I aware that my child robbed, the corner shop or whatever? Am I aware that my child stole bikes? Are there consequences for that here in my house?
That's
Or
the issue, yeah.
Right? Am I laughing and joking with my child about them stealing the bike? Right? We have to have that conversation with ourselves. And the thing is, women are so integral. Like, I think most people, when they think back on who's the most influential person in their life, they're going to say their mother, their grandmother. It's somebody maternal, some female,
absolutely,
a school teacher, something, right? And that goes across the board, male or female. And so we have to start recognizing that we have that influence, because we like to sit and say, well, there isn't anything I can do.
Yeah.
That's not true. That's not true.
Well, Nate, we've got a lot of people in the audience. I'm going to go to, this is about the audience, so I'm going to go to the audience and ask quite a few other questions. But I want to put out, Winston Godwin said earlier, he said, I wonder how many people on this show will turn their children in for a gun crime. And I think that's actually goes to what both of you are talking about as far as accountability. That's part of it. Like I mean, you just asked, like, what does it look like? I'm going to use myself as an example. So you mentioned some people, I think it was your own situation, or to some effect, prison or the graveyard. And I remember my firearms instructor saying to me, if you have an ego, you don't need to be here. Because an ego is either going to lead you to the prison cell or the grave, right? And it's something that stuck with me. It's something that really hit home. And I don't know any of the individuals, the young people involved in this, but their minds are sponges. They're still children, right? When you see who's being arrested, 16, 17, 18, 19. But to Winston Godwin's question, right? These are children. Why isn't the mother or the father or the guardian turning these children in? Do they believe they're protecting them, as you said, protecting them from prison, protecting them from great? Like, what is the psychology behind that?
I think the psychology is definitely protection. You want to protect your child from any negative experience. That's natural. But we have to think broader than that. And so again, I'm going to use myself as an example. When I got caught up and I was facing criminal charges, I kind of wished my parents were like, yeah, I'm got your back, plead not guilty. Right? But no, my daddy said, if you want my support, you have to do the next right thing. And that hurt, because I'm like, hell, I'm your daughter. And I got involved through association and all of that. So I'm like, it's not even my fault. But my daddy said, hey, did you participate in that? Yes. It's illegal. Yes. All right. So if you want my support, you have to do the next right thing. And do you know how much courage that took for my father to do that? But let me say this, it changed my whole life. I am the executive director because my daddy, my parents, made it plain and clear to me that if you want our support, you have to do the next right thing. No, I could have made another choice. I just wouldn't have had their support. And that's hard. That's super hard for us as parents. I'm a mom. There's no situation where I would ever want to not support my child. But for the greater good of instilling in them the values that are required for our community to actually work the way it's designed to work, those are the things that we have to do.
Well,
Not saying it's easy.
I want to go back to something we were talking about earlier on. And I've been in my phone looking for something, and I took this picture about 10 years ago. I don't know, and I'm going to ask the audience, and I'll ask both of you. Have you ever been to the African American Museum in Washington, D.C.?
No, I haven't.
No.
Okay. The African American Museum in Washington, D.C., I've been to twice. And here's one I'm going to read to you, and I just listen to everything I'm about to say. The results of poverty. In 1970, there were no organized gangs operating in South Central Los Angeles. 10 years later, there were 155 separate gangs claiming 30,000 members. Over that decade, unemployment soared, social services declined, and families struggled. Some young people banded together in gangs for friendship and support, or sometimes out of fear. Unable to find steady work, some turned to the underground economy of petty crimes and drug dealing. Despair intensified in the mid-1980s with the spread of AIDS and crack cocaine. So I share that because, again, just going back to what Tanae was harping on earlier, the holistic approach, right? We're talking about CCTV. We're talking about police enforcement. But none of us seem to be asking the question of, where did these gangs come from? How were they founded? What were their purpose? Because if you look at this, in 1970, there were absolutely no organized gangs in Los Angeles, South Central Los Angeles. And 10 years later, there were 155. How does something like that correlate to a small community like Bermuda? We don't ask these questions. And again, the question I asked earlier is, why don't we speak about this? Why don't we take that approach? Why is everything is reactive? Or how can we catch a criminal rather than how can we prevent children from becoming criminals? Because as this stated, they were joining because people were struggling. You know, Nelson Mandela, I believe, said it. Poverty is not an accident.
No.
And if people are turning to this life because of that, then some things need to be rethought. And Tanae, I know you had another question. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I didn't have a question. I think it was just a statement in terms of where did this come from? A lot of this has to do with identity, belonging. They're looking for their own community. They're looking for that support that they're not either getting at home or from their community. So again, this all revolves back around to community and making sure that we have also a sense of identity, a sense of self-awareness. And with those, you know, you have your emotional intelligence and you're able to understand your emotions and, you know, regulate your emotions. And again, this all comes back down to the psychology of, you know, how we think, how our brains are wired, how we react, you know, how we cope with, you know, our environmental stimuli, right? And I just think it's really important that we start to look at some of these issues and we start to address the core root problems and approach it holistically as well, because it's so important that we have those graces.
I'm going to go to the audience real quickly because we've got Eva Wolf, and both of you can answer this. You're both mothers. Renee, again, I want to address something with you as well, because some people who were giving you heat were saying, oh, this is feminist stuff and so on. But I was like, and I was like, I think she said she had 3 black sons when she came on about the election. So I kind of had to, you know, get a balance. But this question from Eva Wolf is saying, when do you stop asking where your child is or know your child's whereabouts? Both of you. You're the parents.
Never.
Could you? Okay, I got you. I didn't understand the question at first. When do you stop asking? Well, my children are still pretty young, so it won't be anytime soon. I guess for me, my answer would be, and this is just the Renee answer, don't say the Women's Resource Center said this, but if they're no longer living in my home, then that's a level of independence that they have attained. And with that comes a freedom to make your choices, right? So for me, as long as you're living in my house, I'm going to ask you some questions and I'm going to need to know where you are. And well, I'll let Tanae answer as well.
Yeah, and I mean, you have 3 boys. I have a daughter. So not to say that there's any difference, but for me, my daughter's 18 and I still ask her where she is. Again, she's still in the home, But I think even when she leaves the home, I'd still want to safeguard. I'd still want to ask, where she is and what she's up to ensure that she's safe. Now, when she becomes I guess, an adult in her own right, and she's able to, and I think that's about building those relationships with your children as well, to be able to ask those questions and to have the confidence and trust that they're actually also being honest with you, because you can ask your children where they are, what they're doing, and they can outright lie to you, right? So again, it's about having that relationship and guiding your children and raising your children. And if you don't know how to do that, or you struggle with doing that, get help, ask. That's what community's for.
Stop right there, because I think Tanae is walking into what I was going to say. Is I'm just very transparent. I didn't appreciate a lot of what my mother was doing as a parent until I literally became an adult, and I'm saying adult. She did that. She was having challenges with me, and her doctor at the time was Dr. Hewitt Brown, and he said, you need to get him some therapy, right? And at a very young age, I remember children in my primary school class asking, "Oh, why do you come late to school?" And because I had to go to therapy first and so on. So she sought that for me, because that, it wasn't normal. It's still kind of not normal in some Black families, but that's what she invested in. Also, as I got older and I left Bermuda, I was in school and so on. I don't know if you guys remember the Hotmail chains where you would send people questions about you and they would answer. And my mother always would get this right. And I went through a period where I felt like she had a tracker on me, no lie, because she knew what I was involved in. She knew kind of what I was doing. And it made me like, how does she know this? And one day I asked her, I'm like, how do you know that? And she's like, I know my children. There were times I almost wanted to do some different things just because I felt like who she thinks she is. She shouldn't know. But I think she made it a point to try, even if she wasn't loud about it, to kind of make sure she knew as much about me as possible, whether she was with me or not. Ways of doing that were communicating with people around me, right? And engaging with other parents. But I guess the thing I want people to remember most about what I just said is, no matter how great your child seems to be, they may be great in sports, good in the classroom, they don't have to necessarily come across troubled, right? There may be trauma that may appear later on. My mother got me help at a very young age. I mean, things could have, I know you're probably saying, well, you probably still need it. Yeah, I still go to therapy. But my point is, that part of, like Tanae just said it, and I want to hop on because she says, if you don't know what that is, seek help. Seek alternatives. There are ways, and I want to say this while Renee Kroc was on. She explained what the Women's Resource Center does earlier. Utilize them. Utilize the various services. Tanae mentioned mirrors. There are so many organizations out there that are there to assist us in our community. Tanae made a point earlier. We're not all able. Some parents are very busy. I can only imagine what it's like raising 3 boys. Having a daughter who's in school. Like, it's a lot to it. But even if you don't have family or friends, there are maybe organizations that can assist you. My mother, I am grateful for her for actually doing that. And let me be clear. I had other family members. I had let me mention this because you're 2 young ladies with children. I had present godparents. It wasn't just about naming the neighborhood a god. You know how Bermuda is. You have a child, everybody in the neighborhood's a godparent, right? And it made me take being a godparent even more seriously, even though I may fall short at times. But those kind of things matter. Like choosing PB.
Jamal?
This is all by design, right? And it's multidimensional, it's interwoven. There isn't just one answer. And so, we recognize that our economic space is it actually makes it easy for people to want to engage in illegal ways to make money. It makes it easy for a mother or grandmother or wife to turn a blind eye because the rent's getting paid and the groceries are in the fridge, right? And so this is in no way a dismissal of the conditions that have created this problem, right? But as active members of this community, we still have a choice. We choose how we respond to every single thing. And so if it's anything that I can leave with everyone, whether you're a woman or not, is what are you choosing? Because what you don't confront, you choose. And we have to start taking accountability for that. When there's a murder, there's this big spike in conversation about what needs to be done and whose fault it is. And then it goes away until the next one. And so between that, you know, and I hate to say this because there is going to be another one. We're not there yet where we can say with confidence that we've curbed this. Like, there's no way, right? So unfortunately, there's going to be another one. What are we going to do in between? That's my call to action for the women and for the men. And I also just want to say, I'm not a feminist. I just have to throw that in
there. We've got you, Winnie. Honestly, thank you so much for making time. I want to be clear about this, just so the audience knows. I did reach out to Winnie and let her know in advance that Tanae and I had planned to address her article. And I didn't do that because I owed it to her, but I think common courtesy is necessary. And I'm grateful that even though she was busy this morning, she became the first person to take advantage of the call-in feature that we have for people on the show who are unable to be present at the computer. So thank you, Winnie, for making time. And please know that this platform is always available and open for the conversations that are needed. That you are able to contribute to. So thank you so much for your time, and we'll definitely be in touch.
Thank you, Renee,
for hosting these conversations.
No problem. Talk soon.
All right.
Bye-bye. Take care.
1A Cruckle, folks. Folks, if you appreciated that conversation, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Let me just go through a few comments, and thank you all for being so patient. This was our first time doing this. Dr. Smith says 100% behind JC. Chief enablers of these hoodlums are in fact women, whether they be mothers, sisters, girlfriends, or hookups. They know what's going on. Absolutely. If you know something, say something. We've got quite a lot. Thank you all for your contribution. Dr. Anthony Richardson says, could it be that the women have always been in the gang culture at the core decision making from inception in Bermuda? Perhaps the prominence of women, now it's a natural evolution of Bermuda gang culture. We've got Charles H. Jeffers II. He says, Juane has said something that shouldn't be glossed over. She created a safe environment for her 14-year-old to come to her with his concerns about things that go against his moral compass. Absolutely, Charles. Absolutely. Zena Trott said parental awareness needs to start before those big issues. Stealing bikes isn't the start. Absolutely, it's not the start. And Darnell Reyna says, real talk, it starts at home. Darnell Reyna says, another thoughtful and provoking show. We appreciate you all. We've got Antoinette Burgess Lewis says, that's right, as long as you're staying in my house, it's how you ask. It doesn't matter what age you are. Indeed. Folks, we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll do the daily play, and we'll wrap it up. So do not go anywhere. Stick with us. We'll be back in about 2 minutes, 50 seconds.
Did you know 3 out of 4 people say that they have a good understanding of life insurance? But do they really? When asked how much the yearly cost would be for a 20-year, $250,000 level-term life insurance policy for a healthy 30-year-old, 80% overestimated the cost by 5 times the amount. Ready for this? The true cost for that policy is about $220 a year. That's as little as 66 cents a day, or $20 a month. So let's put this into perspective. Compared to other monthly costs, isn't getting life insurance a no-brainer? If you can trim back on some of these expenses just a little bit, it will allow you to dedicate the savings toward an affordable life insurance policy. Contact one of our life insurance agents today to find the right policy for you.
Dreaming of expanding your business? With BDC's Loan Guarantee Program, we support your ambitions. Get up to 75% guarantee on bank or credit union loans up to $300,000. Just your vision and our support. Apply today and unlock new business opportunities. BDC, Bermuda Business starts here.
Looking for the best care for your pets? Novazog Feed and Supply has everything you need, from top quality foods to toys and supplies. We've got it all. Join our frequent buyer program and earn rewards every time you shop. Plus, we've been awarded the Clever Customer Initiative program for helping you save more. And don't forget, we open an hour early on Saturdays so you can get a head start on your pet care. Visit us today or shop online for easy pickup or delivery. Your pets will thank you.
PALS is a cancer care charity. We started 45 years ago. What started as a charity with a half-time nurse, and basically just assisting patients going home from the hospital, but patients dying at home. We now, 45 years later, have 6 nurses, a social worker, and a palliative care physician. I know a lot of people that watch the Daily Hour every day, so it's just educational. It helps you know more about specific charities or specific organizations, and kind of get the nitty gritty as opposed to just seeing a flyer on social media or just hearing or seeing a commercial. I think it's more beneficial. Like if I'm on the radio or on TV, I'm just like telling you what I think you want to know. But you might have specific questions that I can answer directly. I think it's much better having the live engagement.
All right, welcome back to Nate Dolan, myself, Jimmy Hartman. Thanks again to Winnie Crockle, the Executive Director of the Women's Resource Center, for calling in this morning and having that most important community conversation with all of us. Folks, again, please help us beat the algorithm. If you are streaming with us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, X, Instagram, LinkedIn, make sure you do us that big favor and give us a like, love, follow, share the link with your friends, your family, your colleagues, subscribe. Thanks again to the BAC group of companies, Medical House Lenders, People's Pharmacy, and a big shout out to HSBC Bermuda for ensuring that we can pump through the radio airwaves with you on a regular basis. All right, folks, it's time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. All right, it is a remember when today, so let's see if you and the audience can get this answer. All right, we all know that Dame Pamela Gordon Banks was the first woman to serve as Premier of Bermuda. What year did she become Premier? Nobody? Anybody? All right, it was not 1994 WKD Llama, but Sheldon Fox is on the money. It was in March 1997.
Yeah, I didn't know that answer, Jerome. I'm sorry.
Yeah. She was preceded by Dr. David Soul. Yep, Dr. David Soul. Yeah, Dan Pamela Gordon. Yep, 97. All right, folks, let's wrap it up. We've got to let you get out of here. But Tanae, your first time guest hosting on the show, and are you coming back? How you feel?
Of course, it's been an absolute pleasure. Like I said, Jamal, what we've heard today, it makes it clear that this is not only a woman's problem or a politician's problem alone. It's a crisis for us all. And I think the silence in our homes, in our communities, in our leadership, it only allows the violence to continue. And we must face the truth that some women are not only victims, but enablers of this gang culture. And the more we continue to have these conversations, that accountability needs to be universal. We all need to be held accountable and to hold ourselves accountable and the community accountable. And I think the time for words has passed. The future of our island really depends on us taking action and doing that now. So I encourage everyone to take action. If you don't know how, if you need encouragement, if you need that confidence, talk to your leaders, talk to your activists, talk to people in the community that have those voices that can help you and encourage you and show you how to do it.
Thank you for that. I echo everything you said. I think that these conversations, so many people say, oh, it's talk, 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 no action. I think anyone who talks without wanting to execute, yeah, that's fine. That criticism is valid. But I think most of us talk because we want to see our words become action. At least that's my hope.
Mm-hmm.
I do think through more community discussions, we can create plans and strategies. But I'm going to repeat what I said earlier, and I'm going to continue to say it. When they wasn't fear-mongering when she said what she said, this is not going to be the last.
Mm-hmm. No.
And one of the reasons that it's not going to be the last is simply one thing. As I've said all morning, we refuse to address the root cause.
Mm-hmm.
And as a community, it's going to be uncomfortable, but we have to confront it. We have to address what the root cause is. I shared with you about South Central Los Angeles, going from no gangs to 155 in a short amount of time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We something has to change. And in order for it to change, in order for us to see that difference in our community, we have to confront some ugly truths. I'll give you some daily inspiration, and I'll just put it to you like this. When they said that we can't keep looking to the leaders to solve our problems, and I continuously say that many of the things that we're looking for in others, if we actually were brave enough, we'll understand and realize we have them within ourselves.
Yeah.
Stop looking to other people, the promise of heaven on earth or afterlife, to fix the problems that you face today. That may hurt some feelings and it may be very uncomfortable. Some may find it offensive or disrespectful. But the truth of the matter is, and I will say it today, tomorrow, and probably for the rest of my life, if there's one thing we have to realize, no one is coming to save us.
Yeah.
Today, Donnell Reyna says, guest host is amazing. And we've got Antoinette Burgess Lewis.
Thank you.
Hey, Darling and Ms. Crocker. Absolutely brilliant women who raised the level of conversation today. I want to thank them both. Folks, we've got to go. Please do not forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Lindo's, People's Pharmacy, and a big shout out to HSBC Bermuda for ensuring that we can pump through the radio airwaves with these most important community conversations. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. We have the Deputy Commissioner of Police, Naima Aswad, joining us tomorrow. And it's a conversation you do not want to miss. She's Tanae Dolan. I'm Jamal Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great day. We are Izelle. Peace.
Bye.